What's up, bosses? Welcome to About Her Business, the podcast where we leave all the gossip at the door and get straight down to business. I'm your host, Jonte, and today I'm back home in Alabama to meet the owner of the R.O.L Institute, Coach Rozlan Luck. Now, Ms. Luck has spent over 3 decades in leadership, and she's created a unique framework to help high-performing women achieve their goals while still holding on to their crowns. And she's here today to help us maintain capacity on what she needs business. So, ladies, grab those cups and those notepads and let's get down to it. The meeting is now in session. Welcome, Coach Luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Are you ready to get into it?
I am. Let's go.
Perfect. So, again, you spent well over 3 decades in logistics leadership. What did their environment teach you about discipline and decision making that still shows up in your business today?
The thing about logistics is it doesn't tolerate hesitation. So it taught me that indecision is expensive in money, in time, and in trust specifically. I learned to make clear decisions with the information available, adjust quickly, and own the outcomes without excuses. That discipline still shows up today. I don't overthink decisions. I just simply execute.
And you hit on a great point, especially in an entrepreneur. You have to make those tough decisions. And a lot of times, procrastination can cost you time and money. Now, I want to look back at your transition from corporate leadership to entrepreneurship because a lot of people look at that as being the same thing, but it's a difference there.
Big difference.
What was the moment you knew it was time to build something of your own?
The moment that when I realized that my leadership had outgrown the room that I was in. I was lacking opportunity as opportunity after opportunity in logistics, but I was lacking alignment for me. I had built systems, led teams, but I was still operating inside someone else's vision. That shift wasn't emotional, it was strategic. It was just my time. I knew it was time to build something that matched my capacity.
Absolutely. And you hit on a key point because a person who also has held different positions in different industries and leadership, I left each one of those industries because I could not find the purpose in it. And that literally would draw you away to entrepreneurship. Now, let's talk about the internal architecture of leadership. What does that actually look like?
It looks like structure, clear decision filters, right? Emotional regulation under pressure. I'm not saying that you can't show emotion, but have to know how to operate in it intelligently. Define standards, those non-negotiables, and then consistent execution in rhythm. And what do I mean by that is that it's not up and down. You're not on a roller coaster. You execute flawlessly every day. Now, that doesn't mean you have all the answers or you're a know-it-all. That just means that execution is not a problem for you and you operate at the beat of a drum, more than likely. Most women are building externally, but they lack that internal structure that without that, success becomes inconsistent and fluctuates and it's exhausting.
That internal structure because a lot of times I hear about burnout and, people
Mhm.
giving up on their business because they're not making sales and it's a lack of confidence there within self. So that is definitely a major point you hit on, especially, with entrepreneurs. Now, you created a very unique framework. It's entitled the Crown Framework. Which element of your Crown Framework do you see most high achieving women struggling to execute consistently?
Well, first of all, the framework was extracted from my experience, not from theory. So, conviction, regulation, ownership, wisdom, and non negotiables. The biggest struggle right now for a lot of people is regulation, right? Women are capable, but overwhelmed. And when our emotions are leading the way, our leadership becomes unstable. And so the non negotiables and regulation kind of go hand in hand. If you don't set clear boundaries, you're gonna struggle to regulate. So they kind of go hand in hand, but I think regulation right now is key for a lot of women in high impact, high power jobs.
And you use my favorite, which is from my own experience. I love when I talk to entrepreneurs who literally are out here building networks, frameworks for other women and other entrepreneurs from their own personal experiences. So we don't have to go through those same experiences. So thank you, coach, on that one for hitting that. Now, you've led in so many different high power environments. How do you now teach women to lead without burning out or constantly operating in survival mode?
So we as women have to understand that burnout isn't just about doing a lot or doing too much. It's doing too much without alignment. Because truth be told, we're going to do a lot because that's how we're built. But if you're aligned with what you're doing in that much, you can still manage that so that it doesn't become burnout. I teach women to build structure, set boundaries, and increase capacity through systems, not just effort. Survival mode is reactive, leadership is intentional. So when you put it all together and you are strategic with your movements, you can conquer the world and still not be burned out. Cook dinner, take care of the kids, and be in bed by 9 o'clock and still have conquered the world.
Oh, wow. And I know it's gonna be people out here that's gonna say, Miss Look, how in the world was you able to create a framework to where I can, get up, be that boss all day, come home, take care of my kids, and still have a balanced, life and making sure I'm going to bed on time.
Right.
So let's talk about for a second for the women out there who may need some advice. How do unhealed experiences quietly impact our abilities, especially when it comes to buildability and confidence in business?
Unhealed experiences show up as patterns when we're over explaining, when we're playing ourselves small, when we're shrinking in the background, avoiding visibility while trying to be seen. And then also underpricing our value, depending on what line of work you're in. So you're trying to be seen while you're protecting yourself from fully being seen. And a lot of people say, what does that mean? It's that I want you to see my work, but I don't want you to see me. And that creates inconsistency in confidence. And that's why we don't talk a lot about confidence because confidence fluctuates, where authority is steadfast.
Absolutely. And I can give an example. I see a lot of faceless content
Mhm.
creators out there nowadays,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it does discourage some people because you see a lot of them going viral and, having the followers and things like that. But if you're a person that wants to start your brand and start off faceless, it's kind of hard to come on after you gain all those followers and things like that. So Ms. Look is hitting on a great point of you have to show people who you are. For me, I follow some of those faceless content creators, but if they would have put out a product tomorrow, I'm letting you know now, I probably wouldn't buy it just because I don't know who's the person behind the page. So
Right.
you definitely have to show people in order to get people to come and believe in your work.
Mhm.
Now, speaking of work, you created the R.O.L framework, which stands for Rise, Own, and Lead. How does each of these phases translate into business growth and not just personal development?
So when we talk about frameworks, I have two. Most people say, "Oh, you need to settle on one." Well, these two work together. It's the crown role. So what once you come through all of the conviction and the regulation and you got it all together internally, now it's time to rise up. Rise elevates your thinking and your identity. Own gives you the responsibility for the results. And then lead is disciplined execution. That's where real growth happens, not just personal development. We've done that with the Crown framework. This now is where the real growth hits, where the rubber meets the road. But you have to do it strategically. You have to be consistent in your actions. And that's what produces those real results.
And I think a lot of people, as you said, this is the framework that a lot of leaders and entrepreneurs miss out on. And, a lot of them are in business for 20, 30 years and haven't seen that business grow. And they're wondering why. And it's because, as you said, they haven't went through those processes of rising, owning it, and then becoming the leader that they needed to see that growth. So let's talk about those people that are in those high capacity environments, especially for my women out there. How do you shift from being the worker in your business to truly leading it?
You got to stop measuring your value by how much you do. The shift into decision making is delegation with standards and structure, building structure. If everything needs you, you don't have a business, you have a responsibility loop. So, what you have to do is you have to be the decision maker, learn how to delegate, learn what needs to be delegated, and then build that structure around that. And a lot of people say, well, I'm just starting out, I can't afford it. You still have to know how to delegate your day. right? So everything doesn't need to be done today. And so we have to learn how to delegate with standard that gives us the option to breathe and to rest. You cannot think clearly with a cloudy mind, right? So when we're doing these things and you have this responsibility loop, you're constantly in your mind moving from job to job. Therefore, you can't lead.
Absolutely. And I use myself as the example. I have 2 podcasts, a blog, plus I'm a mother and a student. I have to literally learn to delegate things. So I literally can't work on all 3 businesses, plus take care of my child, plus make sure that I'm taking care of myself all in one day. So if you're a person out there that's literally working by yourself and running a business, start off with a calendar. Start learning how to delegate things on your
Yeah.
calendar to where you actually have time for yourself because I'm like that. If you need personal days, take your personal days, put it in your calendar. It will keep you organized and keep you from burning out. So that's just a tip I wanted to throw out there on what Miss Luck is talking about out there on
Yeah.
delegation.
I
So
just want to reiterate, again, if I could, one thing, when we think about it, when we hear the word delegation, we think there has to be another person present. There does not. You can delegate tasks to days, right? Today is my day that I do content. Create the content. You can put it out every day, but you can create content in one day for an entire month. So you have to delegate those tasks so that it spreads your calendar out. And that calendar idea is amazing for everybody, not just those of us that are entrepreneurs, but any woman that's trying to have it all. You need a calendar.
absolutely. And everybody automatically thinks, well, I need a team. I need to have a publisher.
Yeah.
I need to have a marketer. I need to have all these things when in reality, it could be as something as simple as what we just said, a calendar, y'all. Now, how do you help women move from a reactive decision maker to strategic execution?
You have to slow down. You have to slow down long enough to think before you move. Reactive leaders stay busy all the time. That's what we just talked about. We just talked about just making moves and being the worker. Strategic leaders build momentum through intentionality. You're intentional with your decision making. You're intentional how you structure your day. And then you are structured in your execution. You don't just wake up and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to flip the whole store upside down today. You can't move like that. You can have a quick thought, but you still have to strategically put it into action. And when we talk about being decisive, and then we also talk about slowing down, the two can be synonymous. I can slow down and make a quick decision, but I also have to make my quick decisions intelligently.
As a business owner, you have to shift from that mindset of reacting to every single thing that goes wrong. Not everybody's going to feed into your business. Not everybody's going to like what you're doing. And I'm a person that will tell you that I had to work on this, y'all, of not reacting to every single thing because it reflects your brand, it reflects your business, and it can cost you a lot in the end if you don't use those conscious decisions in those moments of where you're using your emotions.
Mhm.
Now, for my high capacity women out there who may be doing everything, what advice would you give them to help them shift from being a worker to truly being a business leader?
You have to just stay focused, as we talked about, and you have to learn how to monetize your streams, right? So that way you have something working for you and you're not always doing the work, right? So when your money works for you, you can then shift from being such a worker. A lot of people feel like, oh, I have multiple streams of income. That means I got to do this and I got to do. No, you link all these things. I have one core message, and that core message is internal authority. I can take internal authority and make it work for any set of people, any audience. It could be for women, it could be for me, and it could be for children, it could be for high potential students. So you have to make sure everything aligns. When you become a high impact leader versus a worker, your business works for you. You build ecosystems where, for me, it's speaking, it's coaching, it's programs, and all of that works together. And when all of that works together, I get to then be the CEO. I'm no longer, the runner, the errand girl. I'm no longer that because my money is working for me. And that allows me to hire a virtual assistant. That allows me to get a marketer team, actually. So when you start to slow it down, align everything under one niche, don't try to, even though you're trying to do it all, it doesn't have to be in all different directions. You got to start with that alignment.
But that was great advice. And when I first started off, again, I'm a person that has 2 podcasts and a blog, and I am a huge I call myself a mental health advocate, so I had to figure out how to brand myself in a way that advocating was still there, but I also bringing all these different communities together. So you really do have to find out what your purpose is and literally niche it down to that community that you're trying to appeal to. Now, we've talked about non-negotiables. What are some for every woman entrepreneur out there to establish right now if she really truly wants to build something sustainable?
Listen, non negotiables are my absolute favorite. Time boundaries is number one. Time boundaries is number one. And if I didn't say it, time boundary is number one. You have to create that calendar. You have to stick to it. Now, things are going to come up, life is going to happen, but don't pile so much within a 24-hour period that you don't rest. So, time boundaries, financial standards, and client expectations. What do I mean by client expectations? You make sure that they understand what they're getting from you so they can tell you what they need from you. Everybody ain't for everybody, right? So we got to make sure, and it's okay to say to a client, I don't think this relationship is good. If you have resources to send them to, do that. But the non negotiables that you have to set are time boundaries, financial standards, client expectations, and your own personal discipline. Non negotiables protect your future from your present emotions. So if you set those non negotiables and you keep those standards and you keep those boundaries, don't mistake boundaries for wall building because a lot of us, that's where we mess up at. When you wall build, you cut yourself off from possible opportunities. So make sure you understand the difference between a boundary, a non negotiable, and a wall that you've put up to keep you safe and to keep people out, people that may be the ones that take you to your next level.
And that in itself right there, Miss Look, I think you're gonna get a few calls because a lot of people don't know the difference between setting the boundary and you actually setting the wall
Yeah,
and it actually becoming a non-negotiable. So you definitely hit on a big key difference there that I think a lot of people are gonna take note to now.
yeah.
You've given us so much information today. I want to get your advice for my high capacity women out there who may realize that she's feeling stuck. What advice would you give her to help her, say, find her identity so she can sustain at the next level?
First and foremost, be honest with yourself. Recognize, I call it an internal mirror, self assess. Turn that mirror around, self assess. You are the only one can tell me what's happening. I can tell you where the gap is, but you have to be honest in saying where you've been shrinking. Where are you over explaining? Where are you hesitating or saying yes when you mean no? Make a decision to show up one level higher today than you did yesterday. And you have to realize that authority is practiced. It's not given. I'm not, I can give you a title, but I can't give you authority, right? So the first step to doing that and to reaching your next level and your potential is reclaiming your voice and understanding what that internal authority is, recognizing it and pushing it out. A lot of us stay quiet, we stay in the shadows because we don't feel like we've earned it because we don't have the number of letters behind our name that the next person may have. But those letters are important, but that don't make you who you are. And yes, I mean to say that don't- it doesn't make you who you are, right? You have to claim that inner authority. You have to stand up straight and always stand on what you speak on. Stand on it.
Absolutely. And I love that. And they know here at about her is we're a little bit country. So hey, come as you are, because we literally love when women are their authentic selves. And you hit on a key point. You really do. You have to get to that internal purpose, that internal why. You have to build that internal confidence. And I think that's hard for a lot of women out there because we build our identities off of titles. We build
Absolutely.
we build our identities off of degrees consistently. And I'm not a person that's, trying to point fingers at nobody because I was a woman like this myself. I want to talk to you because, and we get to the close to the end of our episode. Everybody wants to know how to make the money. Now, you've been able to make multiple streams of income from being a speaker, an author, and a licensed insurance broker. How were you able to do that?
One step at a time. And just like I said, you have to make sure it aligns. Don't try to do everything at once. I have a whole list of things that I want to accomplish, but I got to make sure that they tie in and I got to see how it's going to make. The insurance brokerage supports the speaking, supports the coaching, supports the programs when I don't have clients. When I have clients, they all work together because my calendar is structured in such a way that I know on Monday and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I'm doing this. Thursdays and Fridays, I'm doing this, and so on and so forth. So you have to set that schedule. When I talk about strategy and being strategic, that's with everything. Multiple streams of income are so easy to do because we have so many hustlers, right? And when I say that, I mean, you think you got to work sun up to sundown. You do not. Just structure what you want to do. If you have multiple businesses and you're starting out and you're just by yourself, set up that schedule, delegate time to insurance, time to speaking. Now, if I get an engagement and it pays pretty good and it's crossing over into one of my others, rearrange it. Change is necessary. Rearrange that schedule, but keep your time slots the same to ensure that you're not bouncing your head off the wall trying to make it all fit in a box.
Absolutely. And those were some major keys that she just gave out to y'all because, again, we can name all the people who we've seen not do this. And sure enough, it came back to bite them in the butt and later
Yeah.
on with their businesses. And they had successful businesses.
Yeah.
Now, sadly, we've come to the end of today's episode, but we always leave with a legacy, Ms. Lowe. And I give you a couple of minutes to think about this. When it's all said and done, what legacy are you intentionally building?
I'm building leaders. I am building leaders who don't need permission to operate in that authority that they're given. I need women who are disciplined, clear on assignment, and uncompromised in how they lead. Because when a woman leads from internal authority, she shifts the entire environment she enters, no matter where she is, no matter who she speaks to, no matter the number of degrees. When she operates from that internal authority, she stands up straighter, she shows up 100%, and she's visible on all cylinders. So she shifts. She has now become the thermostat in the room and she's changing what it looks like on the inside. And that's the legacy that I want to leave.
Miss Luck, she's showing up in these rooms, y'all, and changing the temperature. She's putting Alabama in the game. And
Yeah.
y'all, I'm gonna let her tell y'all in a minute herself, but I just want to say she's gonna be in Martha Vineyard real soon. So you guys, let's get that information right now, Miss Look. Let us know all your events that are coming up, how we can sign up for the R.O.L Institute. Let us know all the details.
Awesome. The best way to start with me is just let's have a conversation. You can reach me at my website, www.rozlanluck.com, and you can explore some of my frameworks. The website is under construction, so that tells you how to get directly to me, which is what I prefer. So if you're looking to bring this level of leadership into your organization or any event that you're having, you can reach me at roslanspeaks.com and hire me to come in and talk to your people. I will be in New Orleans in July. I will be at Martha's Vineyard in August. I will be in Charlotte, Dare to Lead Differently conference in June. There's a plethora of things that are happening. And you can reach me and let's talk about these things. Let's get these things in play. Let's get your teams or you individually operating at 100% internal authority.
And again, y'all, she's putting on for the state. So if you can make it out, please go and support Miss Look at these events. And I will be leaving all that information down in the description box below. Miss Look, it's been an honor. Do you have any last words before we adjourn today's meeting?
Listen, I just want to leave with all of you that are in the audience. Don't second guess movement. Okay. Don't second guess movement. In order to go forward, you have to take a step. And if you don't take that step, somebody beside you is going to take it. And that could be your opportunity that you just missed out on. So let's do it. Let's make a decision. Rise on lead every day, every way.
And with that, ladies, today's meeting is now adjourned. Thanks again to my home state, Coach Rozlan Luck and the R.O.L. Institute for coming on and sharing her insights. And you be sure to subscribe to About Her Business wherever you receive your podcast so you never miss whenever we upload. Also, leave me some comments down in that comment section on which industry you think I should interview next. Until next time, keep your goals tight, that circle tighter, and that bank account growing.